Faraja TV, authentic African voices. Faraja TV.
One of the biggest schools, and we used to say the biggest in East Africa in terms of population. I joined Ginger SS. We had numbers, and we called ourselves the Mighty School because of the numbers. Now, there, it was not like my local primary school I had gone to where we were very few. So we were very many people in the school, and then it wasn't the same getting leadership like it was in my small community. But I think because of the character, the leadership character within me, somehow I managed to also become a leader there. From my senior one, I was class counselor, and then I was in the school council. I was in the prefectorial body as information and publicity prefect, and then high school where I became the speaker of the school council. And now after a school council, I was delegated to go to the district executive committee. While there, I also contested to become speaker of the district executive committee of Wunsa, which I got, fortunately. But because I had the urge to keep on aspiring, I still wanted to go to the national executive committee. This is high school. But I wanted to be part of the National Executive Committee where our speaker here is. I also contested. I didn't make it at the national. But still, I had the courage to go on and on. And so, after that, I joined campus here at Chambogo University. My time at campus has been interrupted with COVID-19. But while at Chambogo, I contested for Guild Representative Councillor. But in the same time, I also contested for National Youth Council in my district. So I contested at the district. We were contesting at school, but also contesting in the National Youth Council. Like the election was in the same time. After the district, because I am currently the Secretary for Finance, Ginger City Youth Council, I also contested at the national. Now there, I didn't get it because I was in 2 elections. In fact, both elections, I didn't make it. I have a lot of experience to speak about when I start speaking about the leadership journey, but my major lesson, as I conclude, every position that I have gotten, I have put in energy in most positions that I've been trying to get. But for every position, because I've contested and gotten positions, but I've also contested in many other positions where I failed. For positions that I got, it was always good. It wasn't my making, like I have now put in a lot of effort and this and this. I think there is a God factor in leadership. And for me, I have grown to believe that leadership comes from God. He gives it to you, and because it is God who has given it to you, please serve. The last lesson that I will give as I'm going away from here is, when you get a leadership position, please serve. Let it not be about you. Let it be about the people that have voted for you. Try to see that you satisfy their needs. Thank you very much. Keep listening.
Thank you so much to Simon Peter. So today, colleagues, look at me as Charles Author. I'll be moderating this evening. We are going to have more of the stories, political journeys, later, but our guest of the day has a fixed program, so he would really want to give his presentation and later go and have some other engagement. So we are going to have a volunteer to lead us in an opening prayer, and then we shall have anthems. We shall have also remarks from the country director, NIMUD. Then we shall have presentation on personal journey in politics, challenges and lessons learned by our guests, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi. We shall have questions and discussions, then closing remarks, and then departure. So we can have a volunteer to lead us in an opening prayer. Yeah. Okay, we can have the anthems first, then the prayer will come.
Let's sing the Uganda national anthem. O Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free for liberty, together we'll always stand. The East African anthem. E Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Let's humble ourselves and we pray. Father in heaven, we want to thank you for the gift of life. We want to thank you for having brought us here from wherever we came from. Father, Lord in heaven, we believe that the devil had planned a lot of things on the way that would possibly stop us from arriving here, but we thank you for the power that you put on the roads to deliver us here. Father, Lord in heaven, we pray that whatever we're going to discuss here, may it be for the good of us. May it help us shape our political journeys. May it help us draw some lessons that will help us grow ourselves politically and also physically. I pray all this believing in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you so much. Without wasting time, I'm going to welcome our country director for Netherlands Institute of Multi-Party Democracy to give opening remarks and also invite our presenter.
You said we should look at him as who? No, I think we should look at him as Peterson, and I think I request that we give him a Sanders hand clap. It is also very, very interesting and amazing that we are always prepared and short all the time. So thank you very much for accepting to stand in. I also want us to generously welcome and give vibe and energy to our key facilitator and guest speaker, Ndugu Mwanga Chivumbi. Thank you, Honorable, first of all, for accepting to come this evening and speak to us. My name, once again, Promise Bahija, my names. And our facilitator, this is a group of young people from 8 political parties, National Youth Council, the National Students Association, and Parliamentary Forum on Youth Affairs. We've been together for the last, how many months? 6? Yes. And we meet every Wednesday, basically to share and drink from the knowledge of experienced leaders in this country. We've had 5 speakers. We had a professor, we had an elder, we had a young politician, we had a doctor, and now, of course, we have you, the experienced politician from the trenches. And we'll be privileged to hear your experiences and draw lessons from your experiences. We are nearing the end of our 7 months journey. So the fundamental question that all of us should be thinking about is, have we shifted or have we remained the same? And if we have shifted, have we shifted for the better or for the worse? I will not say much because I know that our guest speaker told me that he has a strict time, basically 1 hour, and we've eaten into that 1 hour. But I want to thank you, Honorable, for being reliable. Every time I've invited him, he has been reliable, including the time when I invited him on the shores of the lake in 2017. Thank you for being a reliable leader, and I want to take the honor to invite you right away to speak to these wonderful young Ugandans and the future of this country. Thank you. The hand clap is not enough, ladies and gentlemen. Amplify, amplify. I told you, clap until he reaches here. Give him some vibe, give him some energy. Thank you very much.
I'm more than humbled to be here, and I first of all register my apologies. Wednesday, I permanently do a radio program on CBS, Kirizo Bagana. So every Wednesday, starting from 7 to 9. And as long as I'm in the country, I do everything humanly possible to attend to that program. I've spoken to the director, my good friend, and I've spoken to the presenter. I'll be there in the next hour, so I'll do the 8 to 9 segment. I was here at 5, but I was told the program will start at 6. I'm humbled to be here and honored to speak to you. I'm a very, very humble citizen of this country. I come from, I'm required to give you my personal presentation. It is a personal journey. I don't know which journey I need to really talk about. I'm very shy speaking about myself, but because I rarely do so, because there's nothing about me. The whole of my life, it has been about the country and about struggling for a better country, a better future, a better heritage to our children and our children's children. That's all I've done in life, nothing much to report home about. But to begin with, I'll start with a quotation which you all know. Every generation, if it carefully introspect and reflect deeply, realizes it has a historical mission. I think you know that one. Not so? You know, how does it end? Mine is participatory. How does it end? I've just gone halfway, if you know it. Every generation, to not tell the other thing, they say every generation has its own historical mission. You know it. Every generation in history has its own historical what? Mission that is unique to that generation. It either fulfills it or betrays it. I don't belong, some of you have looked at your faces, but looking at you demographically, I think I don't belong to your generation. Not so? Looking at your faces, I'm slightly older than you now. I'm making 50. You clap for me, my friend. Actually, I made 50 on 10th of October this year. Eh? No, don't worry about it. I don't celebrate birthdays. But every generation, after deep introspection, deep reflection, a deep conversation, an honest conversation will realize on its own that it has a historical what? Mission. You either do everything possible to fulfill that mission, or you go down in the annals of history as people who betrayed. When I was young, I've had the luxury to listen to the young gentleman here. He was almost going through a few things that I went through. Participate in students' politics, be part of UNSA. I was not a leader there. I had my own issues. Okay? I was guild representative. I stood for guild president. I did everything. I tried to be a youth MP. So many things. I started myself in my room, the organization called Uganda Young Democrats, together with others. But that's not the beginning of my history. When I was in primary school, I faced a challenge that was unique. I was in a rural primary school called the Gombe Primary School in Butambala. You now famously know Gombe SS, not so? But by that time, Gombe SS was not what it is. It was not a center of excellence the way it is today. It was just an ordinary secondary school, but I was in the primary school, Umea. We were not as lucky as some of you. We were being taught by teachers who had studied not the current unit, what do you call it? In mathematics, there's a new unit. But they had studied in yard, in inches, you know, that, not the current arithmetic. As you study in meters, centimeters, you know that we transited from that to that. So one of my class teacher who was teaching me math, and a neighbor and a good friend of my father, was not properly getting things right. I was fairly brilliant. So the guy didn't know how to convert from a yard to a meter, like most of you now don't know. From inches to whatever. You get it? So he would give us numbers and get answers wrong. But I net the back of my mind, this guy simply doesn't get it. Because I was somehow lucky, I was one of the last borns of my family. So I had grown up with the very brilliant brothers and sisters. So that taught me a lot at home. So one day I challenged him. I said, my friend, you are wrong. Sir, you are wrong. I challenged him in front of our class. We were in P6 then. P6, either P6 or P7. The guy got so annoyed. So he gave me 10 strokes of a cane for telling him the truth. Then I learned that injustice, that's when I started standing up for injustice. I kept challenging him. Actually, I appealed to the headmaster. And this was the deputy headmaster. Said, this teacher here is wrong. He's teaching us wrong things. So they had to call teachers from Gombe SS to come and resolve the conflict. So they brought a mathematics teacher from Gombe SS to come to the Umea, and he proved me right. I was the hero of the school. And because of that, I was elected to be a timekeeper without campaigning. That is when I learned how the sweetness of standing for truth and persevering, and at the end of the day, how sweet it is when you are proved right. So I was a little lucky. I applied to go to SMAC, but in Butambala there was a problem. Yusuf Chirondele had made it very difficult for Muslim parents to push their children to SMAC, because Yusuf Chirondele, the former vice president, had gone in as a Muslim, while in Ibudo he had converted to Christianity. So most of our fathers were hesitant. So the job form I applied for SMAC, but the school changed it to Gombe SS. So when exams came back, I had passed very well, and I was waiting to go to SMAC, because in Butambala to get aggregate 5 is historical at that time. Only to be admitted to Gombe Senior Secondary School. I later on learned that the headmaster had changed me, and instead my job did not go with the SMAC, it had gone with Gombe SS. But as luck may have it, the headmaster of Chibuli Senior Secondary School then, very famous, called Abbas Mukasa Kawas, is from our area. So my story went around how I'd done well. So this headmaster packed his car at home and said, next term, I want you, whether you have school fees or no school fees, I want you to have better education. I'm taking you to Chibuli Senior Secondary School. That's how I ended up going to Chibuli Senior Secondary School for all my years. But even there were challenges. I was in the company of good friends. So many of them are now big government officials. They work. One of my best friends from there now works in Oxford University. He's a professor in engineering. Another one is in Wall Street, one of the top bankers. That one was very sweet to me. He solved all my campaign needs when I was being elected in one go. He gave me a call without knowing, saying, Chivumbi, I hear you are running for campaign to be an MP. How much money do you need? I told him I need about 30 million. He said, you'll get it tomorrow. So one friend of mine solved all my campaign needs in my by-election. He gave me 30 million shillings. And they were enough for me, because the overall money I spent to be elected was 45 million. Very cheap. The rest was then later on I'll tell you about the story about keeping friends and social capital. So from Chibuli we were facing real challenges. But I don't want to go through some of them. I want to take you straight to politics. I want to skip the Chibuli story. It has its own issues. We had issues, a lot of issues. Now, in Makerere, by the time I joined Makerere, a struggle was underway at a student level. And some of you now benefit because we delivered and lived true to that struggle. That was, government had come up with cost sharing. And it was now saying for government will run away from sponsoring government students, and all of them will be privately sponsored or cost sharing. You remember the Kajubi white paper, Professor Kajubi white paper, and the Minister of Education then was Amanya Mushega, and it was a big call. We were saying, fine, but will the poor people, will the children of the poorest of the poor, manage to meet the school fees requirement for the university? We said no. And once we said no, some of us said we will oppose this government policy. And that, for me, was the first real test on standing up to government. My first real test, first year gas, was for us to oppose the government white paper on education. This struggle, we had picked it up from the likes of Norbert Mao, Romoshana Charles, and other leaders like Gilbert Olanya. The former speaker, the late Olanya, and we had to take it up. Today, government still sponsors a lot of students at university level, is because we said no at that time. That's why I said every generation has its own historical what? Mission. You are not going to be judged. But we also went to university at a time when the country was going through an interesting period. 1995, 96, the country was writing a new constitution. And me and a group of others used to go every day to the conference center, sit in the gallery, listen to very fascinating debate. One of it was very critical. That was politics based on individual merit. They said, this is a homegrown democracy. It is African-oriented. On a close examination, inherently, we had also studied a lot and realized that politics is inherently associational. Not so? Association is done with others. You can't do politics alone. You can't manage society alone. So how does an individual with, for example, we are now 500 members of parliament with 500 manifestos, manage a country? Every minister, no harmonized, all elected leaders, a district chairman, his own manifesto. You know, in our view, it was a lie. It was an absolute lie. The country was being taken for a ride. We said, we will live to debunk this propaganda because we believe it is wrong. That's why a group of me and others, we used to have an after debate of our own, especially in Nkrumah Hall and Northcote Hall, every night. That's why these conversations you people are having are so critical in shaping your outlook. We used to have our own discussion, our own CA after we had gone, and we could sometimes invite people like Professor Polon Sibambi to come and we have a debate with him. Even Henry Tumukunda at one time came. By that time he was CMI. Very young, very brilliant. Dr. Kiza Besije, a couple of Noble Mayombo, they would come and we would have a discussion. Some of them are dead. We realized we had to do something to debunk that. That's why me and a group of others sat down and started the Uganda Young Democrats. I know some of you are a product, and I was the first national chairman of Uganda Young Democrats. And Uganda Young Democrats was born in my room, C25, Mitchell Hall. So that's how we started our journey. But that was to take us, we never knew what we were entering. We never knew what we will meet. We came face to face with the brutal force of government. Arrests started, imprisonment started, beatings. We could not be allowed to meet and talk. This now you are lucky. You have you even meet over water at a prime hotel, thanks to the director. It's no mean feat. So, and I've been meeting a group of young people, courtesy of him, over the years. Sometimes they invite me here, I travel to Gulu and speak to, and I take pride in doing it because some people we've talked to are now very influential in the politics of this country. So I look forward to meeting you at the high table of decision making. And I'm here to inspire you. Let alone I'll tell you my story. I'm here majorly to inspire you that you can make it, and it is possible. And you don't need to be rich, you don't need to have money, you don't need to be anything. You just need to be very determined and focused and know exactly what you want. It's not a simple journey. I'd finished school, graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Economics, 311, second upper. Okay? Can you imagine? I've never worked. Okay? I'd later on gone. I was lucky. I'd been sponsored by Conrad Adenauer to go and do an associate degree in democracy and development. I later on had to go and do a master's in Leeds University in economics. But that's not important. So I came back and I never looked for a job. I came back and all I was doing every single day is how do we deliver Uganda to a democratic dispensation. And it is not yet there. We are still in the trenches. I don't care in which political organization. I'm going to speak to you very honestly about the state of affairs of our country and why you need to act. And more so, you need to act, young people. At a time when I was joining politics, things were easy, issues were easy to pick. It was either movement or multi-party democracy. And you could make an argument without so much reading. For all, against. You could say individual merit, blah, blah, how do you associate, how do you work? Things I've gone through here briefly. And you could go for the merits of multi-party. Because democracy inherently is about one conscience. Is that you are born with a what? A conscience. Secondly, that conscience gives you an idea. That idea gives you a choice. It gives you a choice. It gives you you meet people with similar ideas. Okay? And then you agree to work together. You define what you want to be. And then you work together. And that's how you start a political party. I know some of you join political parties because that political party, particular party, will usher you to an elected position. But that's not what it should be. I joined the Democratic Party without the background of why some people I was with were in the Democratic Party. Some of them would say, "Eno party ya jajange, eno party ya chitange." Some of them, they were there because they were Catholics. I wasn't there because it was a Catholic party. I was there because I believed in what it stood for. Because I was a Muslim from Butambala. My father was a truck driver. My mother is a peasant. Stopped in P4. They could vote, but I don't think they had any core political belonging. So I was there for the right reasons. And you should join political parties for the right reasons. Not because your father belongs there. It could be a reason, yes, because you want to carry a legacy, and that could speak for itself. But can't you also, the only thing I have not properly questioned is my religion, because they've told me I was born a Muslim. Okay? So most of you are born Catholics. You are born Protestants. And you cannot even question them. So we were there and struggling. Later on, so that was it. The rest of the others, I'm only picking unique things. Later on our journey, we started campaigning for Semogerere and others. But later on, we faced the biggest challenge of our generation. That was when President Yoweri Museveni and NRM wanted to lift the term limit. And they were giving very good convincing reasons. First of all, why did they put term limits? They had put term limits because they had known over and again that for us to end our bloodshed, to have a peaceful transfer of power, we need a leader to be there for only 10 years and another person takes over. But now they were saying, no, that is limiting. If you have a good leader, we tried to mention to them that one day Bill Clinton was confronted by a woman with the Constitution of the United States of America. The woman told Bill Clinton, I love you so much, but it's this document that is going to make you go out of State House, White House, and you are the dearest president I've ever known. He listened and told him, it is that document that removed the other president and made it possible for me to be a president you love so much. So it will be the same document that takes me away. So rest your case. So leaders should not go away because they are not loved. This thing that people must vote you out. No. Sometimes whether you like it or not, I've already made my decision. The next campaign is my last year to be is my last campaign. Is my last campaign as a member of parliament. No matter what happens at the level of an MP, I'm done. I'm going for one more term. One more term. It will not matter even if people will come and promise to vote me without campaigning. I will no longer be an MP. I would have served my time at that level. Actually, I wanted to go this term. I wanted to stop after 2 terms. True, I came in a by-election. I've had 2 terms. I wanted to go. But a few of my friends were saying, if you leave, it will give a bad... I'm telling you the truth, it will give a bad example. The rest of us will be voted out. And we have agreed. Those who are greedy and we have had a discussion. Because we came in as a group. My group includes the likes of Rod Mayor, Medad Segona, the Semoju, Betty Namboze, Mpuga, the rest of them. We've had this discussion. And I was like, of that group, I came in at the last MP because I came through by-election. But I was the first to tell them, I'm leaving. They were saying, if you leave, no, it will be difficult. This story will have to end after this campaign. Because even then, you get tired. Anyway, that's a different story. So there we are. Now the journey took me to start another campaign in this country. That was to warn this country that it's going to have a life president. That it will not stop at term limit. Okay? But what we shall have is a life presidency. And I was the national coordinator of what is called Popular Resistance Against Life Presidency. Now, we opposed young people who are very young. First of all, we reached out to young leaders of the various political parties who really shared with us the same cause. I'm so happy to hear some of you are from NRM, not so. Some of you are from DP. Are there people from UPC? UPC? Eh? Congress leader. UPC is here. DP is here. DP is here. Okay. You have issues, but for another day. Okay. FDC. Is FDC here? No, don't worry about whether you are Katonga or not. Those ones, I'm not here for those issues. FDC. You have PP. PP, Bidandisari. Okay, where is Noop? Actually, I was speaking to the youth leader of Noop, telling them, I am going to address youth. That said, no, we don't know about it. Please reach out to Honorable Zake. He's the youth leader of National Unity Platform. We have one of the most vibrant youth movement now in this country. So it will be good you interface. Irrespective of your perception, it's good to come up close with the people you live with for a long time. Please, I will encourage you, reach out to them. speak to them, and I've encouraged them to look out for you. I've spoken the other day, actually on Friday. I addressed all leaders of NOP, elected leaders, youth leaders of NOP at level of LC from Wachiso and Kampala. That's when I realized, I told them on Friday, I'll be addressing this. So please reach out. Some of them are very interesting and brilliant boys. And when I tell you that they are good, I've worked with youth over the years, and I can tell those that are good and those that are not good. Out there are some very good youth. You should better get to know them. The popular resistance taught me a lesson. I was with youth leaders from NRM. I was with the youth leaders from UPC. But I'd made an agreement with all the political parties as a coordinator. They said, we are lending you our youth. After this campaign of popular resistance, make sure you return our youth. And immediately, the term limit campaign ended. Had an agreement not to continue with popular resistance because it was not an institution, it was just a movement, had to dissolve it. But in dissolving it, there were issues we had to pick, which have really transformed the legal framework of this country. We would write to police, wherever we used to go, and ask them notify them for our gathering. They would write back and quote Section 33E of the Police Act, which had given the Inspector General of Police powers to prohibit. This is how it read. When it comes to the knowledge of the Inspector General of Police that any gathering anywhere is likely to result in chaos and disorder, the Inspector General shall enjoy the powers to prohibit. Then we interpreted the Constitution. These were fundamental rights, inherent, God-given, and all government agencies and from the chapter on human rights are supposed to promote, uphold, and ensure the enjoyment of those rights. We said, and that's for me another story. And I'll give you a few details. They should remain here. I hope this camera is for what? You should face it the other way. Please turn off these cameras because I don't want you to ever go out and say this. One, we said this provision is unconstitutional. By that time, the most eminent, the other camera is facing me. I'm very careful. And I know you have your phone. Please don't abuse my presence by putting what I'm going to say on social media. Are we live? Okay, now I'll limit it. I'm going to cut it. Now, I spoke to senior legal officers in my party. One of them is the late Barry Kudembe. You know him? He was very eminent. He said, yeah, that provision is unconstitutional. But there is no government that will ever allow any court of law to strike it out. Because every government will need that provision. So there are no chances for you to succeed in the constitutional what? Court. I spoke to some of my contemporaries, including the road mayor, including others, say, why can't we go to the constitutional court to seek a constitutional interpretation of this section of the law? All of them shared the same view as Barry Kudembe. Councillor Barry Kudembe said, it's unconstitutional, we can put an argument on it, but nobody wants to go and work in futility because we know what is going to happen. You will not win it. But I had a volume of evidence. Then I spoke to Professor Lokonyango. He said, my friend, test the courts. Go out there. If you have all this evidence, you don't even need a lawyer. Just go and petition the Constitutional Court. They have the mandate to interpret this provision, whether it conforms to the dictates of our Constitution. But I was a young man. I was even worried that if things were to go wrong and costs were to be placed on me, what would I have? So along the way, I met Councillor Kafuzi. He was willing to accompany me to the Constitutional Court. So we went to the Constitutional Court and petitioned. 5 judges out of 5 of the Constitutional Court declared Section 32 of that provision unconstitutional. And that is what we call famously, whoever has studied law anywhere in Uganda, it's a landmark case. You cannot get a law degree without saying Muanga Chivumbi versus the Attorney General versus Uganda. You've been to the school of law. It's a landmark case of how to interpret the Constitution. It was declared unconstitutional. But because I believed I could make a difference, I was willing not to listen to senior advice, to so-called reasonable advice, because I believed we were being beaten. By that time, I had 22 police bonds and court bails. Up to now, I still have some, like 15. Government just lost interest. But I was, of course, the story of course is different on another day. On another day. So that is how. Then, as destiny may have it, I had just won an election. Government was bringing up the order, the public order management bill. Here was a very fresh, newly elected member of parliament, and destiny had me make a case against the public order management act. And I think the late Olanya rates it as the best speech he has ever listened to from a member of parliament other than his during the constitutional amendment. I made a case, and I'll tell you a story how sweet life can be and how history, after I speak so late in the evening, near to a quiet parliament, literally every MP and everybody was agreeing I was right. The one Patrick Amama Mbabas was a prime minister at that time. He said, yes, if it was a case of reason, a case of putting a case, Chivumbi, you've put up a convincing case. But you are here because of numbers. And therefore, it's not going to be because of your reasons, it's because of the numbers you have. I said, my side here is going to decide. So he said, Speaker, put the issue to vote. I lost the vote. 2 years down the road, John Patrick Amama Mbabas was running for presidency. He was on his way to Mbale. He was arrested in Jinja. And I was closely working with him for some reason. Because he was now speaking right things. He gets arrested and put at Kira Road. I was in the South Wing parking when not Jacqueline, but the sister to Jacqueline, I'm forgetting the name. She was a member of the South African Parliament. She called me, said, Chivumbi, can you go to the floor of Parliament and cite the abuse of Public Order Management Act? Because the Right Honorable has been arrested under that law. He was the gentleman who told me, who made me lose because of numbers, was now in prison, who was appealing to me to go and raise it as a matter of national importance. I said, but sometimes God is good and God is sweet. I did the needful. Later on, I had to go back to the Constitutional Court together with civil society to still petition the constitutional interpretation of the Public Order Management Act. During the COVID time, some of you didn't know, we still won that case. And the Public Order Management Act sections that were giving government powers to prohibit, because Article 95 stops 93, it stops even Parliament to make a legislation whose intention is to dilute a judgment of the high court and above. You cannot make a law. But the Public Order Management Act had done the same. So we went back to the civil society and still won. Now, that is some sweet victories. But also, as life may have it, when I became a member of parliament, in a period of 6 months, I was elected the shadow minister for internal affairs and human rights. I was appointed. But I'll also tell you a story. At that time, police brutality was at its peak. Chiboko squad, wherever. Some of you didn't know how many motions had to move in parliament to stop police brutality. But one of the sweet things I did was to oppose Norufenya. You know Norufenya here in Ginger. It had become a torture chamber. It was terrible. I had tough evidence given to me by witnesses who had been to Norufenya. And this is a sweet story. On the day, because I'd given parliament, and this is where you people want to be leaders, you need integrity. And I'll tell you this story. On the day, the motion, I know the actors are alive and they know this story. So I'm going to tell you the truth. On the day, the motion on police brutality was supposed to be debated in parliament at about midday. When at around 11, I met Dr. Kizabesiti, but we had a different meeting, completely not related to the motion. But by the time I was arriving at the gate of parliament, the director of police at parliament had given an order wherever I appear to be alerted that I'm in parliament. So they told me, the director is looking for you. Before I could reach, before I could park, there he was standing. No. I did not come at that time. So I went to my office. I went to the leader of opposition's office. But along the stair, I met one of the clerk. That one, I will not mention the name, who told me, out of patriotism, but you see, you have to struggle hard. Your motion has been removed from the order paper. I said, I went and met Honorable Winnie Kiza. I said, I hear the motion had been removed from the order paper. She went and met the speaker. The speaker said, was vague, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. So, that was Rebecca Kadaga. She had removed the motion from the order paper. So as I was walking, the director of police, Twino, met me. Said, I want to talk to you, but I want to talk to you in your office. I said, okay, we go. He said, now, at a speaker's level, we have cleared it. Now, at parliamentary level, we have cleared it. Now, it's about you. So the man pulls out an envelope full of money. I don't know how much it was. He said, now it's about you. Don't worry, the issue will not be on the order paper. Nobody will ever know. And here you are sorted. I said, who has given it? He said, Mukopi, the IGP. I said, oh, okay. I want to thank him. Call him. Okay? He called the IGP. I said, Kare, because I was his shadow minister, he said, you've given this gentleman an envelope full of money. I'm not taking it, but I want to return, to make sure he returns it to you as you gave it to him. What do you want me to help you? For nothing. Not because of this envelope. He said, I don't talk those things on phone. He said, no. I want to know why you are giving this gentleman this money. He said, you know, said, you want to stop this debate about police brutality because you are giving me an envelope. I don't know how much it's there. It should be returned to you as is. Said, no, but the debate can go on. But he said he was here giving me to stop it. Okay? Now, I saw the inspector, Twino, sweat. The guy was sweating like this. The inspector of police, as I was speaking to the IGP, this officer here, it was like I had finished him completely. The guy was sweating. I said, now I'm going to go to the speaker and tell him, Twino, you've been to my office. You've said you have already bribed her, that this motion will not take place. And I have this evidence. I'm going with you to the office. And this is the director of police at Parliament. We are in this other building. This story is true. If they are there and they hear it, they can deny it. My friend, by the time I reached the speaker's office, I gave Twino money. I said, you take away your money, I'm going to the speaker, I'll not go with you. By the time I reached the speaker's office, I was only being told, your motion will be on the order paper. I never even met the speaker. The other secretary said, oh, your motion is now on the order what? Paper. Can't have it. So, for you to help a country, you've got to have integrity. You've got to reach somewhere and say no. And for me, that was not the only story. I've had a brush with people who believe every leader can be bribed. One day, in the defense committee, and these are true stories. I'm saying this because later on I'm going to tell you the current challenges and how to confront them. One day, there was 9 billion that had been requested in the budget to put solar panels at Kololo airstrip to generate, solar power, put on the national grid as a pilot project. I said, but you, in Kololo here, you put solar panels of 9 billion. I opposed it, but Parliament passed it. I said, okay. A year came, a year passed. It was now time for accountability. Defense was back in Parliament. In the Committee of Defense said, gentlemen, I've passed Kololo. We gave you 9 billion to put solar panels to generate. They were saying it will be a pilot. Once that is approved, then every barracks will now be put on whatever the story was. And these are people who are alive. I can speak to them and I can take them on. And none of them can run away. Face to face. Now, Sabit, no, not Sabit. He was called Sabit, yes. But a brother to the governor, to Musime Mutebire. He's from Kabale. He was the chief of logistics in UPDF. He said, okay, we'll debate we'll make a report tomorrow. I was on a given Wednesday coming from CBS. After the radio program, I get a call from a general called Sabit. Says, Chivumbi, where are you? I want to meet you. I said, I'm coming, I'm driving home. Well, I know you are driving. They even knew where I was driving. He said, I know you are driving towards Sintinda. I'm here at Kabira. Come and say hello to me. He said, okay, I'll pass there. He said, now, the reason why I've called you are 2. 1, I want you to be part of the delegation which will go and do a pre-inspection in China about the solar panel. I said, okay, thank you. I said, the second day before the man could talk, he also had a huge envelope. He said, this is for you. I said, okay, don't worry. We talk. Now, I said, about 1. I told him, 1, sir, for the question of a delegation, it is the chairperson of a committee of defense that selects the delegation. If they select me, and it is sponsored by Parliament, I'll be there. Secondly, this envelope you are giving me, I don't know how much it is. It is for what? The general said, now I'll tell you the other story. I'll relate you for me the others, two of the stories. The gentleman told me, no, it is your fuel back. I said, but you see, Parliament pays me emolument. It also pays me money for fuel. And I'm on my way back home. So I'm not having any extra journey I've made. Two, Parliament also give me part of my emolument, what is called downtown running. If I meet you at Sky here, Parliament pays me money to ensure I'm able to buy for myself and my guest a bottle of a soda or a meal. We are always given 1.5 million shillings every month for what is they call downtown running. So that an MP, when he's meeting anybody, it cannot be for change of what? Favor. That's why people question about what the payment of MP. They are facilitated to do that. I said, even this bill of mine here, I'm going to pick it. Parliament. So this money, sir, is for what? But you see, you are questioning us too much. He said, hey, that's why you are giving me this money. I'm going to question you further. Now, said, gentlemen, take your money. How do you want me to help you? I saw a generous sweat on a very cold evening here at Kabira Club. A general sweat at a these are people you can go and talk to them. These are true stories. I'm not manufacturing any. Here, it was here at Kabira Club when that chief of logistics, with all his bodyguards, I don't care. I told him, you know what? I'm not taking. Then he began to tell me, and I'll tell you the story of both the other twino and this one. Now, this might go to say, so you man, I've already given this one no money. I've already sorted out this one. Now why are you refusing? So he gave me a list of MPs he had bribed. And was saying, convincing me also to join the what? The list. I told him now, that means even after here, you'll tell another one that I'm also being bribed. Even the other general twin said, you know, we have already sorted out Katundu. We have already sorted out Mama Mabira. We have already sorted out. I'll not tell you more people. So, they had already bribed a particular group of people. Then there was the story of national ID. And this is why it becomes, I was questioning the unit cost as the Shadow Minister for Finance. The cost of a unit cost of a national ID. Government had invested billions of money, as it is still seeking billions of money on what is called a national what? ID. I said, but what is the unit cost? How much does it take for you to produce this one ID? They couldn't answer. And this was the tough one. Now, two people. They went, there's some boy, and I'll tell you the name so that you corroborate this story. There's a man called Chizito. He's still working in Nira. You people know a man called Deo Njochi. He's a former I was driving to Butambala on a particular Saturday. Midday, Njochi calls me. By that time, Njochi was our patron when we were starting UID. Njochi, we worked with him. He was an elder in the party. He calls me, Chivumbi, I want to talk to you. I said, I'm driving to Butambala, but because you want me urgently, I'll be back at 2. Said, we meet at 4 at Hotel Africana. Okay. There came a man called Chizito, Saja Mulema Mbwati. He said, I'm from Nira. You get it? I'm from Nira. You asked us about the cost unit of a national ID. Now this national ID here, we want to talk to you. How? These were not precisely clear that there should be a quid what? Pro quo. There should be an exchange. Said, but you see Mr. Deo here, he knows how we work. Everything will be arranged. Blah, blah, blah. I kept quiet. Then later on in the evening, I talked to Mr. Deo. Said, Mr. Deo, I respect you. But if you called me for purposes of bribing me, don't dare. I will expose you. But not today, but in the future. And this is the first time for me to publicly talk about these acts. I've lived with them. But because you are young, I want you to understand that for you to be leaders in this country, you need integrity. Actually, the most critical demands, the most critical need, now you can put back the camera, the most critical thing you'll ever give this country is integrity. If you have it, the sky is the limit for you. Now, in the evening of that Saturday, a clerk to Parliament, whose name is still works in Parliament, I'll skip out, gives me a call. Said, Chivumbi, I want to talk to you. Said, okay, where are you? I'm at Parliament. Said, I came. Said, in a parking of Parliament. Said, Chivumbi, you know, you stand between me. He was driving a RAV4. Said, if you agree with what I'm going to tell you, you are going to benefit. I also buy a Harrier straight. There in my car, I have something for you, and it will sort. And it was near election, but you have to rest this case of the national ID. I told this clerk of Parliament that because you were a worker, I'll not expose you to the speaker, but never come to me with that kind of arrangement. The girl, up to now, one day we were with her on a workshop, she hides her way. Let me tell you, you have power when you have integrity. You have power when you have a personality. And I've lived through this when I've been a shadow minister of finance. Today I'm one of the most powerful members of Parliament. And my social power is because I'm unbribable. Therefore, every generation has its own historical what? The number one challenge you and me we have at the country is how to curb corruption. You people don't know the extent of corruption in this country. It is sickening. And let me tell you, from where I sit, everyone in this country is corrupt. From the president down to the lowest man. And you get shocked. I can tell Museveni, I know how he steals money. And he steals it legally. For him, he's very clever. He takes it legally. Go and ask the president where he puts our classified expenditure. In one election year, last year, when we were going for an election, it was a damn 5 trillion. 5 what? Trillion. Go and ask people in the treasury to account for all our money on vote 130, which is called treasury operations. It has got out of your 59 billion, 52 billion. One vote controls 20, it's now going to be 19 point something trillion, is on one vote. It is called the treasury operation. It's the one which they used to pay for our loans, blah, blah. You get it? And you know our loans, I don't know, who of you is an economist? You know with our loans, amortization is instant, by minute, by date, it matures. So you need the money on that account. For everything, before you even pay salary, money on treasury operations must be there. For good purposes, you must pay your loans if you have borrowed it. Okay? But, I mean, they play with that account as they want. Because it's not easy to audit. Even the Auditor General is corrupt. Because, I know. Therefore, every generation faces its own challenges. We've faced ours. We've done our best. We've tried our hardest. And for me, remember, you forget about, but I'm going to tell you these things that I take, I always think are the most revolutionary things, values that I believe in. They are simple. Okay, before I go for them, the current challenges that you face as a country. One, some are historical. The three, I call them one. Okay? That is poverty, disease, and ignorance, as Obote called them. That is one challenge. I don't need to split them. That poverty, disease, and ignorance. That is one challenge. Do you know the second challenge? The biggest one is our huge population. You don't know. As I speak now, younger people are boarding buses from rural areas coming to towns. There is huge internal migration. Actually, when you travel across this country today, like now it's about 7, every township is filled with young people who have no work, who can't speak of a future. The biggest employing sector in Uganda is border. It employs close to 3 million people. 3 million people. And mark you, some are graduates. And quite a number are graduates. But look at a border fellow. This guy is not on NSSF. So he doesn't save any money. Not so? This guy will not ever earn enough money to educate his children to a decent school. This money is swallowing dust. This boy is swallowing dust every single minute with his dirty jacket. Possibly, he will die before he's 60. The research has shown that all the people who are dying before the age of 58 die from disease, die from ailments that are treatable. But your health sector cannot treat the basic treatment unless you are rich. Today, if you were knocked by a car, okay, and you go to the nearest hospital here, as you are trying to survive, before you are given a medical form, they will direct you to a window where you should first pay before they can save your life. You people don't know what that means. Before they can touch you, you are bleeding with an accident, they will send you to a window to first pay. 60, how many years of independence? 60 what? 62, so many presidents, one fellow, 40 years. Still, you cannot treat for free an accident case in Uganda. Take time off on your schedule. Visit Mulago. Visit the casualty section. You'll get a shock of your life. You go to a hospital where they'll give you a prescription and tell you to go to the nearest clinic. A government hospital will give you a prescription and direct you to go to the nearest clinic. And what do you find in a clinic? In a clinic, there are drugs for the poor, there are drugs for the rich. Because I was tear gassed before I got better treatment, I used to take, when it is cold, I used to take Pen V. No, not Pen V. Pen V is for, I used to take, what is it called? It's a tablet for flu. Eh? But what shocks me, there is a strip for 1,000. But they'll tell you on the counter, if you want India, 1,000. If you want Jordan, some money. If you want Egypt, different money. If you want German, different money. If you want UK, now I said, how about the other person who is taking a strip of 1,000? Is he taking a medicine or poison? And some of you are going to be in a delivery room. Okay, some of you ladies and gentlemen, you are going to have children soon or later. Today, to have a decent birth, natural birth, in a government hospital, here in Mulago, you need upwards of 3 million. Natural delivery. Guys, young people, where are your voices on these issues? Are those partisan? Do you need to be NRM or DP or NOP to feel that injustice? Some of you, the youth wing, when you meet youth who are not radical, those youth are not good enough. I want to hear the most vocal youth wing should be the youth wing of a ruling party, because they have an obligation to speak true to power, and for them they speak to the man in charge of our country. Sijui where sycophants all over. I'm not saying you are sycophants, but all over I see sycophants. I'm not accusing you. Where are your voices? Where are the voices of the 5 youth members of parliament? When we are arguing about youth issues, unemployment, do they shout the loudest? Where are the workers' MPs? Even now today, women MPs are just like any other MP. At the forefront, they don't put women issues. They're just for career correctness. You know, if I speak like this, I'll be elected a minister. Minister sujui wapi? You have a kaflaga, disturbance on the road, you preside over poverty. Misery. So I've taken you through the biggest. I don't want to take you through the other issues that are partisan. I'm taking you through the issues that you think are current challenges. Every single day, even if today you go to Entebbe, today, go to Entebbe, just for a visit, you'll find well-dressed young girls boarding a plane. To go and do what? To do what? What? Cheyo, to go and clean toilets. Where? In a desert in Arab world. Those fellows have just sorted out their economies in the last. So you've got to. The other day I was telling young youth, I said, now, if your role is to ensure you are young people, don't you need jobs? Who of you doesn't need a job? You all need jobs. If my role is to ensure you have a job and you have no job, why should I have my job? If I'm a president, my responsibility is to ensure you have a job and you have no job. Why should I keep mine? We should all just fire me. And let me speak to you. Do you know how powerful young people are in the politics of this country? Do you know how powerful you are? You are 78% of you are below the age of 35. On your own, you can determine who a president should be. Without any fear or contradiction, without mercy, you can select one person from here and you make that person a president if you choose to. Do you have what it takes? Do you have what it takes? Therefore, do you guys, let me tell you this. Some of you know Uganda. In my religion, there is something. There are 5 things you must grab before. 5 things you must take advantage of before 5 other things takes advantage of you. One of them, okay? You know them? I know them in Uganda. I'll do Uganda then ebintu bitano wenyagire ebintu bitano ebintu bitano tebinakunyagako ebintu bimeka bitano. 5 things. One of them, wealth before poverty takes advantage of you. Not so? Obugagga ng'obwavu tebunakunyagako buki? Bugagga. I'll tell you some and I'll leave some because I'm interested in only one. One, health before obulwadde. Obulamu ng'obulwadde tebunakunyagako buki? Bulamu. The other one is obuvubuka. Before obukadde nga tebinakunyagako buki? Buvubuka. The rest you go and do your homework. Go and Google. I'm only interested in that one. Definitely, the other day I was telling people, we are saying, Chivumbi, you are no longer the other Chivumbi. There is no way at 50 I'll do the same things I was doing at 25. Now, you the 25, you're asking me to do the things I was doing at 25. So what are you doing? Now I can speak to you and you can listen. Not so? Do you now want me to do the extra? You could ask me if you have an activity, if I have 1 million or 2 to finance you. Then I'll find the money. My roles have literally changed. I cannot urge all the policies and then you find me also in activism. But sometimes you want to say, oh, those Mwangas are not doing enough. You, what are you doing? I hear you take on MPs, you abuse them, blah, blah, blah. No one takes advantage. No man can ride on your back unless you bend. The fact that they are riding on your back, that means you guys, you are bending. That means you are bending, you are giving in. You are not putting up a tough bargain, guys. I'm not saying we did everything because the things we decided to take on are still with us. But we tried. And we are still trying. So please, you have a journey, you have an obligation. I've stopped on the challenges. I've told you about youth unemployment. We are dealing with the crisis. How will these fellows grow old? How you guys, if you are not lucky to grow old? Do you know? Some of you, how? My sister from Chiboga, how old are you? When were you last in your village? Did you study in the village? When were you last there? Okay, have you met some of your oggies who stayed in the village? Do you know how they look like? Like Stone Age women. They're like a 40 with 27, they have about 5 children. Because with the poverty, you definitely have a lot of time to do so many other things. Not so? Because the easiest way for you to avoid child pregnancy is to be in school. But if you are out of school at the age of what? Of 14, 15, you quit picture. And out of that you have children. So you find now teenagers having children, children having children because they are out of school. And did you know now? Do you know the country you guys want to lead? These are other numbers that will surprise you. Out of every 100 kids that join primary 1, only 40%, only 60% make it to P7. Are you aware? Out of every 100 that enroll for primary 1, only 60% make it to P7. The rest drop out. Percentage goes higher. Only 80%, only 20% will make it to senior 4. Senior 6, 10%. Only 2 will go to a university every 100. Only 3 will go for these diploma certificate courses. The rest are semi-illiterate. All they know is numerical. They can have a flash phone. They can write. That's why you see a lot of ignorance of you on social media. TikTok now, everybody, a stupid person can talk on social media. But social media is the biggest platform you people can use to cause change. If it, by stroke of one WhatsApp, okay, sent with one button, one can mobilize all of you in a minute. With one press, not so? With one press. But do you know what? The time we started UID, we had no phone, no nothing. You could walk. If you wanted to meet a contact in Indeba, you have to walk there and agree to meet on time. And if you don't make it on time, the appointment fails. A person will come, you don't know where that person is. But today, instantly you can network. Today, instantly you can communicate. Not for purposes of regime change, for purposes of having a better society. Even with the current leadership, can we have a better running country? That's it. I don't care if one rules us for life, okay? But when you have life, but you rule us for life and you have no life, why should you? But if you happen to be, I'm putting a huge burden on the youth of NRM to wake up and be patriotic. Because your party, history will be very harsh on you. They will quote me as having struggled to make things better. But you, they will tell you are part of the mess. So I will judge, but history is not that generous. It's normally general. Said that generation was all fake. Including those of us who are struggling. We will generally be defined by our failure to make life better. Therefore, we have a common destiny. So the second challenge, which we face, not challenge, now I've been speaking, I don't know whether now, whatever third, is environmental, or what they are calling climate change. I don't know. You people who come from up country, every forest that was standing before I was born is either downgraded or has been replaced by kalitunsi and pine. You travel across this country from Zuka Forest to Weya Budongo, where they are just a name. Some of the students who are now saying the forest in Uganda, they say it is Zuka Forest, Mabira, when Mabira is no longer there. They are only sugar cane. And these are causes you can take on, irrespective of your political persuasion. You don't need to put on a red cap. You only need to wake up and know, this is my struggle. This is my country. So environmental degradation, the biggest of all, is democratic deficiency or poor leadership of your country, of our country. My dear friends, how many of you are interested in being part of the leadership of a country? So majority of you. How many of you aspire to be successful businessmen and women? Now, I'll tell you a story. Who is the most successful business person you know of in Uganda? Salim Saleh is just, leave that one. Sudhir Pereira. In this room, who of you is employed by Sudhir? Who of you have been to Sudhir's office to buy yourself a meal, not for a workshop? Who to buy yourself a meal? Eh? No, I'm saying we are here at Sky Hotel, very expensive. Some wazungu have given us money to be here. Okay? Some are very old women, some are what? They've donated us to be here. I want people who have waken up on a good evening and go to Munyonyo, paid to have fun in Munyonyo Hotel and spend the night, paying for yourself. Paying for yourself. Just go there and live. Only one. Now tell me in this room, who has a relative that is employed by Sudil? One. Now, if you are a very successful business person, like Sudil, Wavamuno, Muruana, Mukwano, okay? You can employ around, let me put the figure higher, 10,000 people, from directly or indirectly. Now, the 10,000 you employ directly, either they are distributors of your product, they are truck drivers, have that a direct link to you. Okay? Have 10,000, put in their beneficiaries around 10. Relatives, school fees, blah, blah, they take care of. 10 times 10,000, that is 100,000. Those are the only people very rich, very enterprising, will help. Now, when you have an opportunity to have a good transformational leader, he will transform a country forever. He will impact on every village. We normally use the word, some of you, who of you are good mathematician here? You know infinity? But a good leader can transform a country for infinity and beyond. It will never be the same again. If you land on one, and it doesn't need to rule you for ages. I'm not saying it should go. I'm not into your politics of whether go or stay. That's for another day. But if you get a good leader, he will transform a country for infinity and beyond. You will never be the same again. Just listen to the story. Those of you who go to Dubai 30 years ago was just another lousy town in the desert. Today, it is where Ronaldo goes. This is where Messi goes for holiday. Imagine people want to relax in a desert. Can you imagine? People want to what? To relax in a way? Even the concept of tourism has changed. It's no longer about having baboons and crocodiles. Because with the tracker now on internet, you can track without ever stepping in these savanna areas. So today we have our falls, you have our baboons, we have our crocodiles. So Wazungu will come here. No, people are moving to Dubai for a holiday. Bahamas, you've heard of people going for Bahamas. Are there baboons in the Bahamas? But even if they were not there, if you are rich, you can put baboons in a desert and feed them. Not so, even what? Visual ones that look like baboon. Therefore, I'm asking the last challenge we must all get interested in without fear and favor is the quality of leadership that our country, and please examine every leader pretending to lead us. Not so. Please be vigilant. Go after every leader and ask hard questions. Whoever wants to say you want to be a leader of our country. Whether it is my friend Bobby Wine, please examine his credentials. When I'm done. If it is Kainerugaba Sujui, ask him, other than being a son of a president, what good do you have really? Go beyond. But some of you now, I say everybody, you see, you know the man who said 3 people love being in power, or being near power, or simply being identified with what? Power. A lot of people now, I find the villagers saying, Tuli Mochin, to Suju you where? Somebody in Karamoja, we are part. A man in a Kasisira, in a Kahati like this, saying we are part of government. You know, that one is simply identifying himself with what? With power. It's not even near it, and is not into power. But please examine everyone, every single of us, that use the social media platform to demand good answers, demand leaders to write for you policy statements, position papers on the economy, on the what. But some of you are just dancing. So please ask these questions. There is no harm in them. And those who fail the answer, please put them aside. But some of you are tribal, are what, religious. In politics, I know many things that happen. Therefore, this is your country. So the second biggest challenge, when you tell me what is wrong about Africa, it is the leadership stupid. And I've been to many African countries. Thank God. We are all living in the same thing. In Kenya here, in where, in Rwanda, in Congo. Can you imagine? Some of you want, please fight for a better country. Do you know what is happening in Sudan here? Some two thugs are bombing their city down. Two thugs like this. Sujui, they are generals. Which general finishes the town? Do you know what is happening in Khartoum here? Nearby here in Khartoum. Some two mad fellows, two men mad like this. You fly a plane and bomb a city. And bomb Sujui. Others, you see fellows killing. Women have been raped. Everything down there. How many of you have been to Libya since Gaddafi died? You've seen it on TV. Terrible things are happening down there. Now it is now some very ignorant generals that are taking over government in Africa and in Niger. And because of poor leadership, we are. So please, get interested in who a leader is, even your own village. And I know most of you, not some, most youth are not registered voters. You find somebody saying, me I'm modern, me I'm civilized, but I'm not a voter. And that is on a Kaboda border, very dusty, in the potholes, says, me I'm not a voter. So you live in your potholes. But it says, we want a better country. How? When you are not a what? A voter. Tell them you are silly. And there are so many people. By the way, it is the peasants who vote to the last man. The educated fellows say, I have no time to wake up and what? And vote. How do I line up? Just lining up. So, how do they see me lining up with the sweater people on the same line? With the border rider. That is the might of democracy. The vote of a drunkard and you, the graduate, is one. The vote of a professor and an illiterate peasant is one. And the question is, so many of you are even doing horrible things. I hear girls no longer want to have children. So me, how do I give a baby? I don't want to carry. So now you are leaving these other very less IQ people to have children, and those ones will dominate you. Because you, the bright one who have a better gene, are not. You have one before it, because the privilege also gets drunkard. And I know so many rich families that are having that crisis. They have two. One is a gay, another one another one is drunk. Bikusala Toto. And you know that mother said to me, only two are enough for you. Two are enough for you. Who bewitched you? So, please, this looks very simple in terms of, but they matter. For me, they are very critical in how to manage a country. Now, the other big crisis is the land. I think you better wake up to address the land question in Uganda. This business of a few people who have made money, in whatever form they make it, thinking they can own the whole country, is dumb, is the biggest security crisis these guys are going to have on this country. Because one, I've told you, a large portion of your people have not gone to school. So those that have not gone to school, they need land. The only way you don't need land is if you become a skill and a knowledge worker. I don't need land, not so. I can live without land. But somebody who never went to school still needs land. So you cannot have so many of your people. Now I hear this parish development model. How? Now, if you want to modernize the country, then you are saying, peasants, I'm giving you money to stay to stay where you are. In the name of parish development, please stay. You are saying land fragmentation is bad, blah, 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 but I'm giving you money for, to stay in the villages. And you cannot even sponsor one child per parish at a university level. Because if you are sponsoring only 4,000, by the way, government of Uganda sponsors only 4,000 at university level. Across all universities, you have 10,000 parishes. That means there are parishes where government is not sponsoring a single child, but you are transforming a parish. What kind of economics is that? Just look at that. I mean, you have over 10, that's why you have 1 trillion. Okay? 1 trillion, you have about 9 something. You have 1 trillion. 1 trillion, each parish gets 100 million. So that's why you have 10, you have almost 10,000, yes, 10,000 parishes. 100,000 parishes. 100 billion, you make it 1 million. So, you are not sponsoring a single kid per parish in the country. And you are saying you want to transform that parish with ignorance. Very additional how? With uneducated people. Because the biggest burden that is now facing our parents, your parents, and will face you is the cost of education to your children. People are selling their cattle, their land, wiping away their saving simply to meet the educational needs of their children. Without affordable, cheap, quality education, don't talk about transformation. I've not talked about free. I've talked about quality, affordable, accessible, quality education. Now you make a stupid policy saying every sub-county shall have a secondary school. A second what? I know of a district which had the 2 first grades and it has got 20 sub-counties. So you build a secondary school in that district per sub-county to educate who? But you are building a secondary school in every what? So where are the youth voices on these issues? Where are you? Because my challenge was to tell you my personal struggle journey and then the current challenges. That's why I told you of the 4 things I want to leave you with. 1, start where you are. These things you've heard about them, by the way. If you want to make change, start where you are. Are you at a university? Are you in the students' council? Are you in the youth part of a party? Make sure the issues in your party are right. You don't need to belong to the party I belong to. Okay? You have a moral, wholesome obligation to make sure that the right issues are at the table on your party. But most of you are looking for opportunities through political belongings. How do I use this? How do I leverage being a youth leader here to get a better placement? Not so. That is how do I use my position as a youth council to get a better placement in terms of employment. Or how do I sing so loudly that I could be seen by those in power so that they can post me where it is juicy. Whether, by the way, sycophancy is all over. I want the youth of DP to say, have you seen the agreement between Mao and Museveni? No. If you can't ask, you are not good enough youth. How does somebody take you into where you have not asked? Where you have not, is he going to take you to a promised land and don't ask? Is he an angel? You are facing challenges. How many of you are in UPC? The Constitutional Court ruled that Akena is not a president. Is he one? He is. You voted him. But the court ruled that it's not. So they were what? But how could he be in office when he is illegal? Okay, on another day. So the question is, go to your parties and have that discussion. Go to Walubid and said, two parties, two factions don't help our party. I want the youth of FDC to go to Besije, to go to Lukwago, to go to Amoriat, to go to Nandala and say, please, this is our party. You know me, I also got defeated on those issues and I left the DP. I asked those questions, my friend. I was never promoted in that party. So, because you see, there is a cost for you asking the right question. If you are going to put the right question, are you willing to meet, to pay the price? If you put the right question to the leaders of your party, you will never be promoted. You will be sidelined. You will be excluded. You will not be funded. Even electing you to come to this platform, you will not. Those of you who are here are very privileged, and most likely you are not game changers in your parties. You are not change agents, you are people who are fatanyayo. So that the power that be can say, now on the Netherlands section, you are our person there. On this one, you are our person there. On this one, and because of those small things, you are silent. You get it? You are silent. Me, by standing for what I've stood for, there is a cost to it. I've paid it politically and otherwise. Even in my party, they think I'm very radical. Okay? When they're electing a leader, they say, but Chivumbi may question us. Let's keep him just as the shadow minister. But that's a price. And are you willing to pay it? But I'm also saying, if you stand for the truth, the Bible says, truth shall set you free. I'm here telling you all these stories without fear or a favor, because, what will you do? I'm my own self. I don't live an expensive life. I live in a humble house. I drive a Primo. But some of you is quick fixing. You want, no, today I've come in a Benz. Don't say I told you I drive a Primo, but you will see me living in a Benz. It is my wife who is Benz. You get it? My wife, no, can afford a Benz. Me, I can't. She's rich. Me, I'm poor. No, for truth. For truth. Because I earn money. If today my phone is there, if I can answer every call and meet its obligation, I'll need upwards of 5 million every day. That's the truth. Those of you want, and because of poor leadership, that now becomes a problem. Leaders are prisoners. MPs in the constituencies are like a twice. They go and sneak in and sneak out. Sneak in, attend a cabario in a car which they don't know, and run away. It's because things can't add up for the people. When they see you, you are like the representative of government, and you are not willing to tell them the truth. Or for them to see you as doing the right thing. So even if you go for leadership, today is not enjoyable. By the way, it is not, I've gotten gray hair because I'm an MP. I sleep late. They put all kinds of demands on you. You simply can't. It's a lot of a burden. So, because I know I was going to speak to you, I said, Madam, lend me a Benz so that I also look nice. But my wife is a deputy principal faculty of law. Or get it? She has a doctorate in law, so she can afford a Benz. So I did not lie to you. She can afford a Benz. But I also sympathize. For her to afford it, she writes papers. I say every day seated on a computer. This research, this consultancy. Anyway, but life is about working hard. I don't show. So, as I finish, I told you, start where you are. Right in your village. Right in your position. Please, this position, small position you have, you can use it to make a difference. Use what you have. Some of you have cars with the turbo engine. Okay? Some of you have phones. I hear now you go for what? iPhone. I understand now you own G5. But G5 for rumor-mongering and abusing each other. These are tools that you can use positively to change society. How many of you, let me ask you, Madam here in Chiboga, have you ever picked calls to speak to those oggies of yours? And how are you impacting their life? They don't need to give them money. Sometimes they just need psychological comfort. That they're in touch with somebody up there that goes to Sky Hotel. Me, I used to tell my villagers that, you see, admire good life. If you pass in Kampala, please make sure you go to Sheraton and you go for a short call. Because do you know what? When that person goes to Sheraton and has a short call and sees the good things people are having, will go back and say, can my children also be where those are? Admire role models. Develop a role model for yourself. My mother, I'm who I am because my father was a driver of rich people. She said, I'm driving these kids to school, but I want my children also to go to school. We footed, but here I am, a member of parliament. My mother had 100 what? What do you call it in English? No. He had, I'm telling you a true story. She admired a certain family who used to have shoes for the daughter children going on Christmas and on Eid. So she planted 100 coffee plants. Purpose of that coffee was for her to earn money so that she could buy shoes and socks, white in color, black shoes for her children. So that on Eid, they don't go barefooted. On whatever, not going to school they were going, but because she admired those kids. But out of those 100 got plantation of coffee, she also bought some land out of the savings and was able. My father refused to pay half of the school fees for girls. She told my mother to have 100 shillings every term. So all my mother used to know was how to do maths. Each math was going for 1 shilling. 1. So in a space of 4 months, she has to do 100 months to have 100 shillings to make a contribution for the school fees basket. And she did it religious, not a single term. So please, life is not that simple. But you use what you have. For us, we are so privileged. You can network. You can speak to me. I'm here lecturing you. So, and somebody has put the bill. And there is relative peace. You are not at war. So have a peace dividend. Put demands because the country is not at war. So if we are not at war, please, let's go to better health care. You are telling me time is up. Somehow I know. But you see, speaking to these ones, those fellows, I speak to them every day. You get it? Somehow one of you may become a president. One of you may become a minister of finance. One of you may be a secretary to treasury or a governor bank of Uganda or a speaker of parliament. And I know alongside here there will be some people. So here I'm touching not only the present, I'm speaking to the future of my country. So that's why I'm spending a little bit of time. That's why my other friend, the country director, he has never called me and failed, and I've never failed to turn up. When they call me to Bulu, I drive and go there. So I'm here to really ask you out. The CBS is a panel. For today they can miss me. But I made a commitment to be there. I told them, what time is it? It's 8. It's a tall order for me to make it. So, start where you are. Use what you have. Do all you can. Sometimes you don't need to do things you are not capable of. There's a generation that is required to bear arms and wage a war. We don't need to go back to war. And we can make that say our generation will never go back to war, but we shall never tolerate bad governance. So don't use your excuse of you having waged a war to load it over us. The last thing is sustain the endeavor. Without resilience, without persistence, without perseverance, without sacrifice, without patriotism, without a sense of duty, without a sense of commitment, without a sense of responsibility. Do you know how many senses I've talked about? For you to have a successful public life, it begins with you to have a sense of duty. You say, this is my duty. The second thing, you must, after duty and you say, it's a sense of responsibility. I'm responsible for this. Then afterwards, you must have a sense of commitment. You must commit. Committing 100%. You are young people. Even if you are pursuing a girl without a sense of commitment, you will not get her. Even if you are a girl and the girl senses that you have no commitment, she will run away without a trace. So, and women don't want uncertainty. Yeah, that is their nature. That's why they marry a little bit upwards of their age. They want some assurances. You have just left school. You are also on a border. What assurance will you give? Love doesn't. It's not enough to say I love you. No, there are certain other things that must accompany love. So, but that's not why I'm here to talk about you today. So please, and I always encourage you to go for love, because love wins where everything else fails. But reality is different. Women, good women want commitment. You are not going to be there working, unemployed, going to it. There, and there's this other girl from a university. You are saying you are serious, you are handsome. Go with being handsome. So those things are not enough. Even today, some young serious men want commitment, want seriousness. They also want money. Okay, for another day. But you must have a sense of commitment. With a sense of commitment comes a sense of patriotism. You must be in this for the good of the whole, not for your own self. If you are still primitive, you still want to own a street, the biggest building, the tallest hotel, wherever, please, go and be a business person. Don't disturb us by being a leader. And we shall not envy you. We will actually praise you. We say that man is successful. Okay? But if still you want to serve us, please, you are in this enterprise for the good of us. If you want to serve your own self, please dream big. May I don't stop people from being. And by the way, aspire to be rich. There is nothing as good as being rich. Because if you are rich, you become clever, even if you were fool. Because you'll be consulted even if you don't matter. So there is everything. Mao Zedong said there is everything glorious in being rich. Not Mao, no, but Mao Zedong of China. So he told the Chinese, please pursue wealth, pursue richness, even with the communist heart. Please be rich. So I'm not asking you to be poor. And please condemn bad life. Why do you live to live in misery? Have a dislike for bad life. Have a dislike for bad life. There's a pieces of they went to Akoa. You know Twakoa? It is like, this is not, you can't load it over. Then with a sense of commitment, you must have a sense of sacrifice. Be ready to give in something. With sacrifice, lastly, you must have a sense of courage. Without courage, there is nothing much you will achieve. To face injustice, you must have courage. But there shouldn't be justice. I don't want you to grow up in life saying to face injustice, to fight poverty. I don't want people who come from the negative. Say, for us to be rich, for us to have justice, we are fighting for justice. Not injustice. You know the difference. When you meet two people, one says, I'm fighting injustice. Another one says, I'm fighting for justice. The two are very different. They come from a different paradigm addressing the same challenge. This one is willing to be positive about life, knowing things can get better. You can live in a better country. Our generation, make sure our generation will deliver a better country. We shall leave Uganda a better place for our children and children's children to live in. May God bless you.
Wow, thank you so much, Honorable. They say you can take a horse or a donkey to the well, but you cannot force it to drink the water. It is up to it, either to drink the water or not to drink the water. So, colleagues, I want us to appreciate Honorable for the wonderful presentation. There is sure a lot to learn, and it is up to you, either to take it or not to take it. And we also thank Nimud for coming out with specific individuals who actually give us the message that we would want to hear. And as I lay off to sleep today, my question will be to myself is, am I really achieving the generational mission, or I am betraying it. You too can ask yourself that. What is the generational mission that we have as the youth? Anyway, do we even know our generation? Do we even know our mission? Those are the questions that we should ask ourselves as we leave this place. I am going to welcome a few questions since Honorable wants to leave. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's first have those first 4.
Thank you very much. I'm coming to that. Thank you, the MC. I am Atai Karen from Mukono and from Justice Forum. My point, actually, I'm very happy for your presentation because this question has been haunting me, and I was looking for the way, how can I reach that president of yours? Tagulanyi principle. Yeah, you have talked about corruption, and for us the Baganda we say ennyonyi enkulu yayigiriza ento okubuuka, right? Thank you very much. Atai Karen, and from Mukono, and I contested as a woman councillor, Mukono municipality. Honorable Numbers knows me well. Thank you very much. Corruption. Let me use the very honorable, your colleague, Nambozi. I remember in Mukono when they were giving cards, there was corruption. Nope cards, corruption was there. So my question is, how are we going to wipe away corruption, yet it is you, our elders, that are showing us that? Then the other question is about the alliance between Jema, like I told you I come from Jema, between Jema and Nope. What really happened? Was that hypocrisy, or it was corruption in line with the bribery, or it was a flood? Those are my two questions. Thank you very much. I remain Atai Karen from Jema, Mukono.
Colleagues, let's try to be brief when we're asking the questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I'm privileged to be in the same roof with you. I always enjoy you on Barometer Kasa Meme NBS. Thank you for the presentation, please. It was very putting us to the front line as the youth to do something, not to sit back and leave the rest for the elders. My accord is on IDs. You talked about the national IDs. When I was in Dubai, 2020, all of us, the foreigners, we have expiry IDs. We always have to request for either citizenship or stay in that country. But I'm wondering why in our country, because the locals in Dubai, you cannot say that the ID is expired. How can I be expired in my own country? Because now my ID is expiring in 2029. How can I be expired in my country? I'm giving you a task, my MOP, at least to frontline that. Because how can me, a local, be expired in my country? That is a bit confusing.
Thank you very much, Namirembe Blesius, and I would like to say bravo to you, Honorable. You're such an amazing speaker. I've really learned, and I look forward to learn more from you. So my question to you is, you've told us on how we can really stand on integrity. Personally, I've participated in different events, I've participated in different activities, and I'm a youth leader, and I've tried to play my role in being an integral leader. But when it comes to integrity, it comes with threats, and especially when it comes to these government officials, these government positions. People can threaten you to the extent that I've seen people who have been killed because they have refused to take on bribes. So, to you, how do you deal with that? Because you have given us several occasions when you have stood on the level of integrity, and I would request you to help us on how we can deal with threats so that at one point or another, if anything comes up and someone is trying to threaten you, you will use this channel or you will see how to go about it. Then the other thing is the question of voting. The reason why many youth are not interested in voting, it's because the voting system itself is wrong. It is recently in the 2026 elections, I will say it here, when we are voting for the president, 2021, sorry about that. I voted opposition. I'm from Chiruhura district, Nyabushozi. I voted opposition. I was standing there. They know that I'm born from that area, so it's a must that I have to vote for the president. But I didn't vote him because of the different reasons I have and what I'm seeing in my country. But they didn't count that vote to the extent that they tear the paper in front of you. So many people feel like, why would I waste my time, join the line and all that? So the people who are so far having platforms and we are looking forward to the election, to the process of voting, please, can that be worked on so that we are not humiliated, we don't look like we are against anyone, but we are fighting for our rights. Thank you so very much.
This is the last person, please.
Thank you very much, the Congress lady. I'm also a congressman. I like that comment. I was going to comment because I was the third person to be here. On the first note, Honorable, I would like to thank you officially. But as I proceed, I would like to say one word because for me, I'm a farmer. Farmers always say that whenever crops becomes yellow in the garden, there is no good yield. So my colleagues of NRM don't say that I'm meaning you. It doesn't matter. So one, Honorable, you say that you need to start from where you are. But in most cases with the youth, we try to do our level of best, but we don't know. Starting from where and going where and which direction. It is the challenge which is always disturbing the youth. Then, Mr. Honorable, as I proceed, there is always said that a candle should continue lighting until it reaches the diminishing point. We as the youth, we are ready to go to the right direction. If you give us the right procedures, I believe if all MPs were like you, there will be angels in Uganda.
The one for Tai is a heavy one. Because she says even in in NOP there was corruption at the level of NOP had its own unique challenge, which I can speak for on another day. One, it was formed a few months to election, without a structure, without anything. We formed it like 4 months to the general election. So we did not have an elaborate infrastructure and policy guidelines to sort out everything that required to be sorted out in the normal functions of the party. And for those mishaps, we apologize. We only promise to do better. I can speak for NOP on these issues because I was part of the, I am and have been part of the top decision makers of this party, and I know the thinking of every decision we've taken. We took a decision not to have grassroots, to have party primaries, and we went for a selection. It has its own disadvantages because it comes with a lot of personal know-how and everything. We are trying everything humanly possible to have a new constitution. We already have a new constitution that even has term limits, has everything, and next time around we shall make it good. I know what happened. I know in some instances we are not completely transparent. I can promise to do. We will try to do better. And we are sorry if you are part on the alliances. There was not any alliance agreement with any political grouping in the last election. But if you want me to speak about that, what alliances are you making when you are facing a dictatorship? Does it matter really? If the ceiling of this house is coming down, do you need to make an agreement on how to? You get it? Eh? If this building is collapsing, do we need to agree how to evacuate quickly? Eh? We can, you see, alliances presume a functional multi-party dispensation, which you don't have in the country. Today, in Uganda, you have a struggle, but I'm sensitive that in this forum, I'm not addressing that other issue of how to execute a struggle. I wish you had listened to the last Friday when I spoke to NOP Youth. We will invite you in another forum for that. Here I'm aware that I want to carry everybody along. So, I want to carry everybody along, but in my humble view, you don't have, even in JEMA is not a party. Even in NOP is not a party. Even NRM is not a party. It's an outfit for an individual. So all we need are vehicles of change to have a multi-party functional framework for which, how can you be a political party today? There is a letter from a deputy RDC. You see, government gives NOP money. Okay? We get about, I don't know, I'm not in the party leadership, top. I'm at a decision-making up, but it gave, under the Political Party Organizations Act, government gives political parties money. NOP has used part of that money in a short time and built a fairly state-of-the-art political party headquarters in a short time. But it has challenged NRM. 40 years, it has no headquarters. They are renting somewhere on Chadondo Road. You get it? UPC, at least when it was in power, I don't know whether it was party contribution, but it has Uganda House. You have Uganda House. And so, but NOP has used the political money given to it from government. We are launching it tomorrow. A deputy RDC writes and says, you cannot launch a building. You cannot open a building. Now, you want to tell me you are in a multi-party dispensation, even where you have given political party money. UPC, because of your numbers in parliament, you get money for mobilization. NUP gets money for mobilization. You say there will not be tours. You say you will not go to the community. You will say you will start your headquarters. So now you are saying you are Jema. Since when did you last go to Karamoja? And can you go there if you are not weak and allow you? In Chiruhura there, where she comes from, I know what it takes to stand against NRM. It's criminal. You are nearly criminalized. But must one be a criminal for his conscience and choice? If I'm one, leave me to be one. You are many. Even in, so I know, please, those of you who want to live in even NRM, the other day, I don't want to speak about political party. The other day, you were electing a secretary general. You were electing a treasurer. Today, those are appointed. I hear they are appointed by the chairman of the what? Of the party. Can you believe a chairman of the party is the one who appoints even a secretary general? I know also UPC has a similar constitution. So there are struggles everywhere. I want to know how I can successfully challenge the chairman of NRM, who has tried to challenge Chigonga as the vice chairperson of NRM. And you are not talked to out of a race. So there are still challenges. So, Madam, the struggle for a multi-party dispensation is just beginning. That's why I don't encourage you to do. You make alliances. To do what? In a struggle, we agree on the direction and we move. Then after we have multi-party, you are freely, you're organizing, then you can talk about alliances. In a delivery room, are there alliances? They're just efforts, push. So, there is my friend here, national IDs. Of course, there is a reason why a national ID should over 10 years change. I was part of a committee of internal affairs and defense that made the National Citizenship Immigration Whatever Act. The reason why you change is that over 10 years your future has changed. Okay? And the national ID should instantly reflect your basic futures. Even appearance change. So there are reasons why you must renew a national ID. The question is, should it come at a cost? Should it be free of what? Of charge. Because you pay tax. And you need this inherent right. Secondly, then, is it the NIN? No, there is a number, the national ID number. Should be the basic ID you need to quote anywhere, not even the physical ID. Because that national ID will never change. That number, is it called what? The NIN what? Number. So the question is, the NIN number should be the basic, even if I've saved it in my what? In my phone. When I go to the bank, you don't need to look for my ID. If I press in my NIN number, you should be able to access NIRA data and serve me. That should be a physical ID. That is primitive. For a citizen, the basic document should be your NIN number. And that NIN number is given to you once. Once you can quote it, you should be served. Whether you have renewed your ID or not. Because you are given a NIN number. I believe that's basic for everyone. As to where the physical, if you are going to travel, even the passports, you need to change them over time. Because your physical features do change. Just look at yourself when you were in high school. And right now you go into the mirror. You've drastically changed. Especially women after birth, they change a lot. When you get twins, Okay, that is for another day. Don't take me through that line. So the reasons for change are real, but as to whether you need that to do business, I just believe you need a NIN number. And since the NIN number should change, whether you have renewed or not. 2, I don't think it should come at a what? At a cost. Namirembe, integrity. Integrity. I've told you here, madam, that there is a cost to something you want. There is a cost to everything in life. Jesus Christ had to be hanged. Martin Luther King swallowed a bullet. Okay? If it's just humiliating you, be persistent. The question, I've told you that politics and causes are associational. You don't do them alone. Elections are rigged because you permit to rig elections. If the youth of Uganda made a decision that election will be free and fair, you have the energy and the stamina to make them free and fair. But some of you are not willing to pay the price. They will just, here, I've been reading demonstrations here. People say we go, we go, we go. Just one canister of tear gas, they all disappear. Okay? And I've tested one, let me tell you, there is a picture of mine that goes viral. That originally my detractors use it, but I was using it as a whip. Because you see, I was believing we need to test a new method of a struggle for the weak. How do the weak succeed in defeating the powerful? When you read, how many of you have read a lot about Gandhi? Pacifism, non-violence. Have you read about Gandhi? Mahatma Gandhi. Not Gandhi, this politician, this family of Gandhi. Those are politicians, but the one of Mahatma Gandhi. The indomitable will to succeed. Eh? The heart that never gives in. And because you see, one day, why that picture went viral, I'd just become an MP. Salongeria Sirkwago had been what do they call it? That preventive arrest. Eh? But he calls me and tells me, you know, none of the family members can get out, but I have a sick daughter that requires medical attention. Do everything humanly possible to make sure you come and take Aliyah to the hospital. So I drove my car to Lukwago's gate. When I reached there, a gang of policemen were descending on me to beat me up. But I'd come to say, I'll take Aliyah to school. Aliyah is now a big girl. So I said, but what weapon do I have with these very powerful people, and I'm alone and weak? So they descended on me. One of them was really very rough. I said, sir, you are powerful. He was not listening. So I said, let me kneel down for you, sir. I'm an MP, but I'm kneeling down for you to allow me go and access and get the kid to the hospital. Let me tell you, small things are powerful. The man who was descending to beat me was begging me not to kneel down. Please, honorable. Now was calling me honorable. Honorable, don't do that. Don't do that. I said, sir, you have a weapon. You have a gun. You have all these other fellows. I can't resist you, but I'm begging you. The man became so humble and opened the gate for me. And I got the kid to the hospital, and I brought the kid back the next day because Lukwago was being locked up for a week. And I saved life. But it takes humility. It takes a little bit of more courage for you and determination to humble yourself in a face where you think you should stand up and be counted. Sometimes to win wars, you need to be a little bit softer, especially when you meet people who think power is everything. You win them by soft power. That's how women, our mothers at home, are able to resist the power of brutal men. They don't aggress them. They make them weaker. And in the process, they gain a lot of authority and strength. So the weapon I'm giving you, never give in to those fellows. Don't quarrel with them. Go back and vote again your conscience. You could have been one. The next poll, you go to your village and tell me, still I'm going to vote the way I think. You alone, you may be 10. When I first went to my village, when I had started UID 1995, I went to my village on ED Day. I called the youth, whom really I was a young man, second year at a university. I called the youth I know. And I'm telling you this to be a true story. There was some bishops of village, like two bishops. So I called the youth. They came like 10, 20. I began to tell them, we should oppose government, siyasa. No, not siyasa. The usual mudom of ours. And you have the bravado of coming from a university, Makerere. You are really the boy. Now, parents of those kids, one by one, who learned that I was there, Museveni was extremely popular in Butambala. Extremely popular. Parents, one by one, came and pulled away and took away their children, saying, I'm spoiling them, I'm going to cause them trouble, me, I'm very naive, called me sorts of names. These are same fellows, 15 years down the road, that lined up to vote for me as a member of parliament. You get it? And they were praising me for what? I don't have money. I don't have anything. I was a poor boy. I only had the connections. I got my bank account when I was a member of parliament. For me to get my first salary is when I opened my bank account. I owned 2 shirts and they were white. The reasons why white is good is that you may never tell whether I changed the shirt or not. Because people fear white, they think I had many white shirts. I had only 2. And I was staying with my sister for 8 years to be able to take. I was at my sister's house when I became a member of parliament. A room in her house. And I'd been there for 8 years. So, my friend, persist, persevere, be consistent, be truthful to what you want. You will turn those people around. I've witnessed it. I'm a witness. I'm a testimony that people can really turn around. And I've won now 3 times. And I'm going to win another one. So, just listen. Let's take it at plain level. Just plain level. This Bobby Wine people are now fearing. The other day was just a musician singing whatever, Mama Mbire, I'm not undermining my party president. But you see, by simply making a decision, saying I'm going to become a member of parliament, I'm going to join politics, I'm going to make a difference, I will run for president, today is one of the most popular politicians in this country. He has transformed himself in a couple of years. By charisma. He took a very big... I'm his friend, let me tell you. He may not want me to talk about it in public. I had a discussion with him whether he was making a right decision. having stayed in parliament 2 years and was leaving parliament to go and run for presidency. We've even discussed other nitty-gritty. How will his family survive? Because we knew exactly what is ahead. But the boy was rock solid in his determination. Let me tell you, so many of our contemporaries, we had made a generational decision in the last campaign to raise a candidate, including myself. I feared. I was like, I haven't solved this problem. I haven't done that. Then you go to a road mayor, say, me, I'm still, also, my issues. You go to my dad, say, you go to Akena. Akena says, me, no. My family pays the price. We had, my father, blah, blah. You see? Then this one, 2 years, says, I'll take it on. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Okay? Let me give him as an example. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is also phenomenal. He declared very openly, you man of Bolte, you steal an election, I'll go to the bush. The guy got no votes even. There were no election votes for him to steal. They stole nothing because he had zero. But the guy was determined to go to the bush, and he was today. He's been a president for 40 years. It's no mini feast. I'm against him, but I also acknowledge he lives true. The guy can roll it over. Those of you know him, he works day and night. The man is odd, but you see his stamina. Now you are here just 20 years saying they teared up if by tearing did they take away your heart? So my question to you is that it's only those who are determined. I'll end with you and ask you a question, which I'll ask you. Then the other one, Sona Mirembe, you are done. The UPC lady, we clap for her. I'm really humbled. I wish I had a young son. I would tell a secret to go somewhere and look for the UPC girl. One, time keeping. Time management is the hallmark of seriousness. If you can't keep time, I called him. I was late because for some reason I was doing some other assignment, which was so intense and did not have my phone. Okay? We normally keep our phones away when we're into some other business. So by the time I got out, it rained. Then I got out, it was 3:30. Somehow along my mind, I thought I was required to be here at 5. Of course, I had to drive home, put on a suit because, I wanted to also have an impression. Appearance is the first letter of recommendation and the best letter of recommendation. And when you appear to people out of respect, you dress well. You get it? So I said, I need to also go and put on a nice suit and be here. So I left home 25 minutes from Buwate to here. I was panicking that I'm going to be late. That's when I called you. I wasn't picking my course. I called, and I not saved his number. So I called all the numbers quickly, but I went to the WhatsApp, and so that's when he told me, no, you are required to be here at 6. But I was already panicking that I'm going to be late. And I was good enough. That time would have been enough because by like 5 minutes to 5, I was around in Tinda. Those 5 minutes were enough for me to be here. So I arrived here at 5, talk to him. I didn't even call him. Realized, this is at 6. Then I went back and did some transaction at Housing Finance. So, time management is the whole cornerstone of seriousness. I'm a bad timekeeper myself. And thanks to my wife, who was educated somehow in a more polished universities, she keeps pressure. Actually, she was the one keeping pressure on me. So saying, but you made a commitment. Because you made a commitment. Please don't be late. Your usual things of being late. Please make sure you are not late. These are serious young people. Go and speak to them. So, please, next time, do you know what you have done? I'm not going to go to CBS. Had you kept time, I would also have kept my other assignment. Have the whole radio program. And do you know, to agree with the presenter for a topic, and you don't appear. I had to call him and say, I'll come for the next hour. I pressed a topic. I told him, today let's teach the country about impunity. Definition of impunity. What do they understand by impunity? It was our discussion. He said, you will read on it. You will prime it. But I'm not there. And why I'm not there? Even Odongotho came later and has not even come up to now. And I'm sure people don't even apologize. If you are not going to make it, please say you will not make it. If you'll be late, please say you are late. So please, madam, that's so great of you to encourage people to keep time. Now, the one who please, leave the book of lamentation to the Bible. We don't know where to start. We don't know the direction. Who should show it to you? You show the direction. Why do you think we must be shown the processes? We must be led by people. Are you a follower forever? That is a wrong mentality. I've told you, please start where you are. You are saying, oh, where do I start from? Do I know where you stay? Oh, do I know where you come from? I've just told you, start where you are. Use what? Do I know what you have? You may have a superior brain. You may have a superior idea. You may have everything. So please, if you want to be a leader, be a leader. If you want to be a follower, agree you're a follower, get out of this room, go. I was told I'm going to speak to leaders, not to those who are seeking for directions. No. My friend, look what, even Obote, no one can make it to the top when it's not good enough. Let me tell you, some of you love, who of you has read the story about Lionel Messi? Or even in sports athletics, sportsmanship, do you know what it takes to be a Ronaldo? Do you know what it takes to be a Lionel Messi? When others do routine training, those people put in an extra effort. David Beckham. So, how many of you know about David Beckham? He was a player for Man U. He was so thorough at free kicks. But this is what he would do. You know the tire? Do you know the tire? Every single day, he would put a tire at he want to score a goal. They would put, you used to score them up, never down. You used to score them up. So he would put a tire at the size of the goal, and they put a cowl. He would try 100. He must score 100 balls out of that tire every day. 100. So that means he would do about 200 trials for him to score 100. And he would do that every single day after others have trained. That's why every other free kick, 8 out of 10, he would score them. He was doing it in practice every day. The man whom we owe this bulb, This bulb. You know his story? The man who tried 1,000 bulbs and they were all blowing. He tried 1,000 bulbs and each one would put aside. That one blow. That one blow. So this gentleman says, but you man, you try 1,000 times. And you have not succeeded. Why don't you give up? The man tried the 1,001 time. That's when he discovered a fuse. And from there, we owe all these lights, beautiful skylines we see, to the man who failed 1,000 times and succeeded on the 1,001 time. That's how it is great. Now there's this story I normally tell people about a businessman. This is a gentleman who wanted to do a business venture. You know? But it was very risky. What the business venture required was to risk everything he owns. So he said, before I risk everything, and he owned a lot. He said, before I do everything, let me get the best consultants for this project I want to undertake. So he hired the best consultants. They gave him a report. Do you know what the report was saying? The report had a 97% possibility of failure. They said, sir, we've done our research. 97% chances this project is not viable. 90 what? 7. And they were sure, these consultants, that they are going to persuade the man not to go ahead with the investment. That they said, but sir, our research shows that there is a 3% chance of viability and success. So he left them in a room and went back to his office and came back after an hour. He told them, you have tea, have continued discussing. So when the gentleman came back, asked them, okay, I've heard. Just let's repeat it. This project, the chances of failure are 97%. Sure? Are you still sure? They said yes. 3% there are chances of what? Success. He said, are you sure? They said yes. He said, gentlemen, 3% is good for me to risk everything that I own. I'm going for this venture. The rest is history. He became one of the richest people by risking and going on a possibility of 3%. So if you can't go on the cliff, if you can't go on the edge, the difference between success and recklessness is the thread skin. You get me? The difference, I know the EPC lady wants to go because I'm also, now you wait, I'm finishing, madam. I know you want to go. The difference between people who succeed and people who are declared reckless is a skin thread. So the higher the possibility of failure, the higher chances of being declared reckless, the higher the chances of success. So if you succeed, you are a hero. If you fail, they will say you are reckless. Museveni went to the bush fighting an army. If he died there, he would have been declared a naive, stupid. How do you take on government with... Now, Bobby Wine left everything, music, what, parliament to go, and now that's where he is. So you, if you want to be in a comfort zone, to be in a comfort what? Zone and comfortable and don't take risk, you are not good enough. You just be an ordinary citizen. And please don't invite me to address you ever again. I want to talk to only 2 types of people. And this is my last one, and I want you to listen. How many of you are reasonable people? How many of you are... Please, if you think you are reasonable, put up your hand. You can even stand up. Okay, you have even seated. Those of you who, on a good day, you think you are reasonable people. Stand up. Please be confident. Those of you who really believe are reasonable people, stand up. Okay, sit. Those of you who think you are unreasonable, stand up. If you think you are unreasonable, you are unreasonable. Have you ever heard that story from me? Yeah. From my perspective, you are just rationalizing what I'm going to say. I don't need you. If you believe you are unreasonable, stand up. No, there is no depending. Yeah? Okay. Eh? For you are unreasonable. Anyway, let me tell you, there are only now 3 people for whatever reason that are unreasonable. But this is what reasonable people do, madam. Reasonable people adopt to the world. They are like a chameleon. When they go to green, they turn green. When they go to yellow, they turn yellow. When they go to red, they turn red. They are fit. They are civilized. They are cynic. They give good smiles. They pretend. Because they crave acceptability. They don't want to discomfort a going concern. They are orderly. They keep in line. And those people are useless in the process of change. Because all reasonable people are very useless in the processes of what? Change. Now, can I give you unreasonable people? Can I give you unreasonable people? Unreasonable people adopt the world to themselves. The unreasonable people persist in ensuring that what they want is seen through. They struggle, they persevere, they pay the price, they have the courage to see that what they want prevails. So all the change for human progress, we don't owe it to reasonable people. We owe it to men and women who persist in the pursuit of what they believe in, no matter the odds. God bless you. So you go home knowing you are reasonable or unreasonable, depending on my explanation. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, Honorable. There was a lot to learn today, and I don't think there is anything much to add on. I must say this before Honorable leaves. I must inform you, Honorable, that you're one of the best legislators in the 11th Parliament, and you're one of the members that we look up to as the young generation. I want to take this opportunity to welcome our County Director to give their closing remarks.
I think when they say passion, we could see it, we could feel it. He sacrificed all he had. He forgot about the talk show he had and decided to put himself here for us to. Thank you very, very much. Mine is to really thank you, and also thank you for sacrificing your time, for being calm. But I think it was worth it. From political to personal growth to economics to sacrifice, I think one thing that I get is that the formula to success is one. Whether you want to be a successful entrepreneur, a successful footballer, a successful politician, the formula seems to be one. So thank you. We invite you for coffee or tea. At leisure, feel free to interact with him now that he's here. See you in the next fellowship, but you should go on your WhatsApp and propose the speaker you want for the next fellowship, because it might be the last, isn't it? So we need to have a blast for the last, but it will be start of things. My brother requested something, and I'll put a link. and to be on the first come, first serve basis. But I'll talk about that. You'll see it on the group. Otherwise, all the best. Let's importantly learn from what our speakers give us. Honorable, thank you once again, and I wish you a beautiful night and safe travels home. Amazing work, and thank you for stepping in the shoes. If you want to be the next moderator next time, please feel free to take up the mantle, isn't it? Thank you.
In 2021, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Advanced Africa and Faraja Africa Fund